Alright, welcome to this podcast. Today I am going to be talking about Zelda Twilight Princess and how Ordon Village, in a step-by-step process, is the worst tutorial in all of Zelda. And this comes from a place of love, because Twilight Princess is my favorite Zelda. I just needed to point out how bad this tutorial is, because I've been watching Game Grumps, and yeah, I like to hate on Aaron, like a lot of people, for being stupid, because, not saying he is stupid, but he does some stupid things. So, alright, to start, you're Link, you're in a village, and first thing you gotta do is go out into town and get a slingshot for these kids. And getting a slingshot for these kids is kind of fun. I really like the character building, and I like the whole tutorial with the slingshot and stuff. And if all you needed to do is get a slingshot, this would be fine. This would be like Ocarina of Time. You just gotta get some rupees, get a slingshot, go help them, and then you get the sword right away, right? But that's not what happens. What actually happens is, first of all, you gotta do this horse minigame where you're whooping goats into the barn. And it's a fun minigame, but why is it the first thing that you do? It should be optional. It doesn't like really teach you anything except for the minigame itself. It teaches you how to ride a horse, which is holding joystick. No one needs to learn how to do that. So that should be removed entirely, and you should be able to do it like right away if you want to. You could get a heart piece right away. That would be pretty cool, because you have to come back later to get a heart piece. So after doing all that, you go out into the village. You have to get a fish for a cat. And in order to do that, you have to climb up on top of this rock. This guy tells you about using the grass to call a bird, and there's a piece of grass like right in front of you, right? So you'd assume that that's the one that you need to use, and this is what Aaron did. So he used it, I think 4 times, and didn't know what to do with it. This specific piece of grass was purely for knocking down a beehive to get rupees, which would be alright if it was like facing towards the beehive and obvious, but it's facing towards the river, and there's the basket down the river as well, and there's two grass things, and to put the one that you're supposed to use to advance the plot after the one that's that you don't actually need to use, even though it does help, is just bad game design. It should like point you in the direction to the exact piece of grass you need to use to get the fishing rod, to get the basket, to get the fishing rod, but it doesn't. So that's one misstep, and this happens quite a lot in the beginning of Twilight Princess too, where they misdirect you. And it's fine having optional things, you just gotta be careful where you put them in games. So you finally get the basket, and you bring it to the girl, and she gives you the fishing rod. And fishing is another thing that I can't imagine anyone actually liking fishing in Twilight Princess besides in the fishing area. And fishing could have been entirely kept to that area and no one would complain. Because, like, there's one point in the entire game where you need to fish besides this one for that, like, red fish to get the scent for the snowhead. And that could be done. Like, the fishing area is literally one screen, 2 screens away. So you could have to catch that fish in the fishing area. And it could be like Ocarina of Time, where you only need to fish in that area. Or you could get the fishing rod from that area and be able to go to different areas and fish. And then that would be pretty neat because, like, that would mean that Ordon Village could have some, like, unique fish that anyone who's wanting to fill out their fishing thing could come back to Ordon and do that later. But you just get the smallest fish, and fishing isn't even fun. And when you start fishing, it doesn't tell you how to fish. So you cast the line, and you like figure you need to click A. It tells you need to click A. Then you catch the fish. It doesn't tell you what you need to do, which is like the worst. So you like catch a fish, and you have to like trial and error while the fish is on the line to see what you need to do. And what you need to do is so boring that, like, they might as well just give you the fish right away. Because all you need to do, I don't know what it is on Wii U, I think it might just be hold back. But on Wii, all you need to do is hold the Wii remote up. And you catch the fish. Like, it's the most boring fishing in any game I've ever played. It's definitely not Zelda quality. Like, it's worse than Ocarina of Time somehow. Ocarina of Time fishing was actually good. And this is, like, it's worse than Stardew Valley. It's worse than, like, it's worse than Persona. It's worse than, like, Secrets of Grindia, like literally every single other game that has fishing. This fishing is worse. I don't understand how Zelda could, like, how could they screw up that bad? Anyway, so then you catch the fish, right? And the cat goes, and you can finally go into the Slingshot room. And this is like very small gripe, but as soon as you get into the room, she gives you a bottle, and I guess Aaron thought, hey, I got a bottle, I don't need to be in here anymore. So he left immediately, didn't even see the Slingshot. So what they should have done is he should have like looked at what she had to offer, and then she should have talked to you and given you the bottle, because then you would know that you need the Slingshot for sure. And the kids tell you they need the Slingshot, so it's not really that big of a deal, but it would help dumb people like Aaron figure out what to do. So then you get all the rupees, and this is the fun bit. You get all the rupees, you get the Slingshot, you go back, you show off to the kids. It's like a really good bonding moment. You get to know the characters, and then you go. They get stolen. You chase after them. You become wolf, and this is where it's actually really fun. Like the whole entire wolf section is good. Go through Hyrule, and then you come back, and this is the last. Oh, I forgot to mention that you have to do the goat whooping twice. So what happens is you go into the village, you're a wolf, you scare all the villagers, that's all good and stuff. A squirrel tells you to talk to the animals, and there's one section where you have to sneak up on the guys. If you don't sneak up on them, they run away. And you go and you talk to the dog, which the dog is a very obvious person to talk to, or animal to talk to. So that is perfectly fine. The other part, and like getting the shield and stuff, once you're up there, you're like, what do I do? And you just try jumping at the wall. Like literally everyone gets that, and it knocks it over. But the sword bit, you go up, you scare the pregnant lady. The guy comes, and there's a tiny frog that you can't really see. The only way you're gonna see it is if you walk over it and you see that there's a prompt for the A button to speak. A tiny frog tells you that, hey, maybe you should use your sense. And like, I don't know why they did this. Like, maybe people would try their senses on their own. That would be a pretty cool moment. But at this point, you're kind of just wanting to get into the game, and you haven't really gotten into the game yet. Like, you just had little teasers of playing with the wooden sword and playing with Wolf Link. And all they needed to do was make it like a cat or something around the side where you needed to dig in through the hole. Because that's not like an obvious thing to like dig into someone's house. That's something like specifically Twilight Princess. Like, it doesn't take too much to think that it's ridiculous that you can even dig into someone's house. So they really needed to make it obvious, and they didn't. And then you get the sword and shield, and Midna's like, nah, I don't need these anyway, and throws them away. Or saves them for you, but then you get into the Twilight, and the Twilight, like, this is an example of how good game design is done. The spirit tells you that you need to find the bugs, and so you get little dots on your map, and like, you wouldn't know you needed to sense. Like, no one tells you you need to sense for them. But you get to the spot with the dot on the map, and you're like, wait, where is it? It's invisible. And you immediately think to use sense. So that's actual good game design. And I wish they had done it sooner. Because I know that a lot of people might play this part of the game and just quit. I've done the same on a couple games. One of them was Golden Sun. I literally couldn't handle how stupid the beginning was, so I just quit the game. And I was completely right, because the team who made that game is terrible at writing for RPGs. Like, every single game in that series, the second one is actually better than the other two, but every single one of them is like just terrible. Little tangent to end it. In Dark Dawn, Golden Sun Dark Dawn, I've been watching too. There's one part where he takes this like soar wing, I think it's called, and he jumps off the roof and tries to use it, and you'd think that he wouldn't be dumb enough to do this, but then you find out that they've never told him why he shouldn't, and they have to explain it to him after he's done it, that he doesn't have the right sort of abilities to be able to actually gain height with this thing, and he just circles indefinitely, and like they're explaining all this to him, and then they're like, all right, where can he go from here? And they're like, go all the way across the valley, across the forest to this cave, instead of just flying down to the bottom of the hill. Like, it's so nonsensical. You can't even suspend your belief to, like, believe that they're this stupid. Like, every character in that game series is inhumanly stupid. Anyway, that'll be the whole podcast then.